Why can nothing go right with live action Avatar stuff? Why? What's going on, you guys? James here with some real news. Unfortunately, it's not very good news if you're a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The creators of the show are unfortunately stepping away from the live-action Netflix project that I was so excited for, and I'm sure you were too. Before we dive right into the news, guys, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies and TV just like this. So go ahead and consider smashing that big red button below and subscribing to the channel. Tap on that bell so you don't miss out on any news, and also go ahead and smash that like button too. I mean, let me know in the comments, guys. Get loud. Are you kind of okay with this, or are you thinking maybe your excitement is thrown out the window? I'll tell you where I'm at later, but enough of that, guys, because I could talk about how excited I was for Korra and for this and everything, and now I'm just so sad. So let's just get right into the news. Avatar: The Last Airbender co-creator Bryan Konietzko posted a message on his Instagram today saying that he's stepping away. Him and Michael DiMartino are done with the live-action Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now I'm going to pull out some quotes from Bryan Konietzko's statement here, starting with this very particular paragraph. And I quote, "Michael DiMartino and I recently chose to leave Netflix's live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the series he and I created together in 2002. We will have no involvement in the project moving forward, so not only are they going to have maybe a lesser role, they're just not going to be involved at all." Now this one is really important too, because to be honest with you, this is a red flag for this adaptation. And I quote, "When Netflix brought me on board to run this series alongside Mike 2 years ago, they made a very public promise to support our vision. Unfortunately, there was no follow through on that promise. Though I got to work with some great individuals, both on Netflix's side and on our own small development team, the general handling of the project created what I felt was a negative, unsupportive environment." Stop the presses, hold it right there, guys, because let me tell you something. A negative and unsupportive environment, those are words that are strong. It's not simply, maybe our vision wasn't fleshed through, someone else can do it maybe a little bit better than we can, we're just not involved. No, this was a negative and unsupportive environment. I don't necessarily know what happened behind the scenes. Netflix hasn't released a statement, at least at the time of this recording, to, I guess, shed more light on what Bryan Konietzko's saying here. But I have to imagine that must mean they had ideas that they wanted to bring to the table, and Netflix unfortunately said no can do. So I don't know if there was just creative differences, or if it was true that, man, this was an unsupportive environment. And if that's the case, how can you promise to creators of a legendary show like Avatar: The Last Airbender that they'll have creative freedom in a sense, and not necessarily give them that environment? But it sounds like both sides were not agreeing with the vision for this live action series. There is a little bit of hope here in his message though, because he says here, and I quote, "Though I am profoundly disappointed by how things turned out, there are wonderfully talented people who are still working on the series, some of whom Mike and I personally hired and got to know well during our time on the project," which means, guys, this is not totally a disaster, maybe. It sounds like there's gonna be a little bit of a positive influence on this live action series if these people were hired by Michael DiMartino and Bryan Konietzko. Of course, there's a little bit more, and he's just basically saying that, you know, he's not done essentially with the Avatar universe. Like, he wants to continue being deeply involved in this, but this is worrisome. Michael DiMartino also posted a message on Instagram. It felt kind of like a joint message in a way, and he's just trying to reassure the fans, saying that, hey, there's still hope for the live-action Netflix series. And honestly, I know this is probably just a little bit of goodwill towards the end of their messages. They don't want to end on a negative note, and I get that. But for me as a fan, for you, the fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender, when you hear the creators of this legendary show are on board for the live-action Netflix series, you think, thank God, because hey, that means they're going to be listened to, right? Because Netflix is great at giving their creators creative freedom. And of course, we've all had this bad taste in our mouth with live-action Avatar anything because of that abomination of a movie. Yes, I reviewed it and it's awful. But that's the thing, the creators were not listened to during that production process. Netflix apparently promised the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender that it would be a totally different game. And the fact that they're both stepping away, not just one, but both are stepping away, is a really telling sign that maybe, just maybe, that promise isn't coming through. And I get that production cycles change. This pandemic has pushed a lot of things back, but to be fair with you, my excitement went from, yes, I'm here, to maybe not. Because if the creators are not a part of this show, that means an influence from the original series is technically not being inputted into this show, and that's a problem for me. I'm gonna go ahead and imagine that there's gonna be some shakeups in the production cycle. Since there is no release date attached to this project anyway, this series is gonna see a huge internal delay. Like, there is no doubt in my mind that whatever window they were trying to aim for in terms of production, post-pandemic of course, that just got pushed back a ton, because you have to imagine that the direction of the entire live action series is being shifted. The excitement that I had was really found in both the creators being on board, but now that they're not, I think scripts change, casting ideas change, the entire direction for the show changes. I would hope that they do pay a good deal of homage to the original, and they have good writing, and that it kind of bleeds through cinematically in the way that it should, because Avatar: The Last Airbender is ripe for a really good live action series and or movie. We've seen one failure with the Last Airbender film, M. Night Shyamalan's movie. Are we going to see another failure with this live action series? I hope not, but this is not a good sign. Now, what I do hope they stick with is keeping these characters culturally appropriate. I don't want them casting outside of the original characters in their race. I'd rather them keep the same ethnicity. I want them to be able to stick true to the roots of the original series, unlike the live action film. I think that would happen. I don't see Netflix diverting from that idea, but what in the world might have caused both the creators, Michael DiMartino and Bryan Konietzko, to leave this series, one that they've been actually pushing for positively for years? And I gotta imagine it has to come down to story and direction. So that's not only concerning, but it's a little problematic now, because who do you put in their place? I'm interested to see what Netflix does now that both of the creators are gone from this project. But guys, don't let me do all the talking. Go ahead and get loud below and let me know what you think of this news. Are you still excited for the live action Netflix series, or do you think, I'm gonna jump ship? And if you haven't already, consider hitting the big red button below and subscribing to the channel, guys. Got my Legend of Korra Season 2 premiere reaction coming on Friday. I'm so excited because it also drops on Netflix on Friday, so it's just gonna be a good old time. Man, this news is blowing my mind as a fan, so I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna go catch up on some more news and reviews. Oh boy. Until then, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.